In some parts of the Philippines, people still lock their doors before nightfall, not because of crime, but because they believe this creature is still hunting. The Aswang is one of the most feared figures in Philippine folklore. Not a ghost, not a demon, but something that looks human until night comes. What makes this legend different is that even today, many people don't treat it as a myth. They treat it as a warning. Stories of the Aswang date back centuries, long before modern cities existed, when small villages were isolated and information traveled slowly from one generation to the next. In these communities, stories were not written down or recorded in books. They were passed quietly from elders to children, often at night, when families gathered together and the outside world felt dangerous and unknown. Fear was not taught through warnings or rules. It was taught through stories, repeated again and again, until the idea of the Aswang became something everyone understood without needing explanation. The Aswang was believed to live among the villagers themselves, hiding in plain sight during the day, working alongside others, speaking normally, and drawing no attention at all. It was feared not because it lived deep in the forest or far from civilization, but because it lived close, among people who trusted it, and revealed its true nature only after nightfall. This belief made the Aswang more terrifying than other monsters, because it meant danger could exist anywhere, even in places that once felt safe. In these villages, isolation played a powerful role in shaping belief. When night fell, there were no streetlights, no radios, and no way to contact help if something went wrong. Darkness was complete, and sounds carried farther than they should have. A single noise outside a home could feel amplified, turning ordinary moments into sources of fear. Over time, these conditions made stories feel real, because they explained dangers people could not otherwise understand. According to folklore, there were signs an Aswang was near, but they were never obvious or dramatic. People believed the creature announced itself quietly, through small details that were easy to dismiss until it was too late. One of the earliest signs was a strange clicking sound, faint and distant, often heard late at night when the village had already gone quiet, and every other sound seemed louder than it should have been. The sound was unsettling, not because it was loud, but because it felt intentional, as if something was moving carefully, aware that it did not want to be seen. What made the clicking sound truly frightening was the belief that it changed with distance. Villagers said the closer the Aswang came, the quieter the sound became, creating a terrifying contradiction that went against instinct. A loud sound meant it was far away, but silence meant it was close. This idea turned quiet nights into moments of panic, because the absence of sound no longer meant safety. People also spoke of a strong smell in the air, often described as vinegar, lingering around homes where something felt wrong, adding another layer of unease that could not be explained. Animals were believed to sense the presence before humans did. Dogs would bark at empty spaces, refuse to leave their owners, or suddenly fall silent without warning, behavior that villagers learned to take seriously. At night, families responded by sealing windows, reinforcing doors, and keeping children close, not out of superstition, but because these stories had been repeated for generations as lessons in survival. The most frightening belief of all was that if everything became completely quiet, it meant the Aswang was already nearby, watching and waiting. Even in modern times, reports haven't stopped. Rural communities still share stories of figures seen on rooftops, strange sounds above houses, and livestock found drained of blood. Skeptics dismiss these as superstition or misidentified animals, but belief remains strong in certain regions, not because people want to believe, but because too many stories sound the same. What makes these stories unsettling is not how dramatic they are, but how consistent they remain across different places and generations. Details change, explanations vary, but the structure of the encounters stays the same, as if the belief itself has learned how to survive in a modern world. For many people, the fear is no longer about monsters, but about the possibility that some traditions exist because they were never meant to be forgotten. Maybe the Aswang was never meant to disappear. Maybe legends survive because they're rooted in something real. Fear, memory, or something we still don't understand. And if you ever hear wings outside your window at night, remember, silence is the worst sign of all.